Um, so what do you remember about Pearl Harbor? Do you remember anything in specific?
The only thing is the curfew, because it's during the war, our whole town was said to be, like I think I already told you that we had to carry a gas mask and build the bomb shelter, and and my mother had to build a backpack. Of course, we didn't call it backpack then. It was just like a kit for the whole family with the bare necessities in case we had to evacuate. So I still remember we had flashlight and one of those manual can openers, and I don't know what else I can't think of, but that was one of the basic necessities that all the family, each one of us, she sewed this bag for each one of us in the family had to have ready in case we had to evacuate. But thank goodness we didn't have to. But yeah, and of course, with the war, the army practically took over our gymnasium, and so there were changes made. And because now that, from being a very close-knit family and knowing everybody, all of a sudden these strangers, like all the soldiers and the military moving in, and so things were a little bit different. We had to be aware of their, existence in our town, and so, and of course you hear, we had leaders for each town, and they were the ones that handed out the gas mask and told us the curfew, and because we didn't have telephone, they had to travel to each family and reveal or tell them what the rules were, that you're supposed to be in your house by 7 o'clock or something like that, and black out your house.
Were those people you already knew, or those were strangers?
They were all local people that took over being the leader, being in charge of what we have to do.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that your brother was like the babysitter while your parents worked.
Mm-hmm.
Were you very close with your parents, or were they worked a lot? And
yeah, well, I guess there's a little bit of closeness in that, and I wouldn't say they were kind of strict, and made sure that we did what we were supposed to do, and we didn't know any other way, and so we just obeyed them. And looking back, I said, I guess they did their best to bring us up. And of course, one thing I remember about my father, he was strict. And looking back, I said, back then we had those comic books, and he forbade us from reading the comic books, so we had to kind of sneak the comic books, and also to play cards, those playing cards. And those were the little, idiosyncrasies of why he restricted us from doing these, forbidding us from doing it. So we snuck those things up. But of course we didn't. Other families, I don't know what the other families did. I know this one family, he had tons of comic books, and that was his only source of education. And he trying to recall all these things, that, oh gosh.
Yes. So after you graduated high school, did you ever go back? Did your parents stay in that town, or did they ever move?
Yeah, they stayed in in that town. And until, they got older and they had to move because of their illness, or, as they got older, they couldn't, but my sister was close by, so she basically looked after them, but somehow they managed. Yeah. So my father ended up in a nursing home, and my mother moved to the other island to stay with my other sister. So she stayed there until the end.
So did you ever go back to visit the place where you grew up?
Yes.
And did it change a lot, or was it still like a very small town?
It's still a small town. You still recall a lot of the buildings, and in fact, in my hometown, they built a community, like a community shelter in case of emergency. They rebuilt this. They rebuilt this building in case of, in Hawaii they might have hurricane or something like that. So in case they had to evacuate, they are prepared to go to this building. So when I was there, maybe I was there about 2-3 years ago, they had built this, but it wasn't ready yet. I was hoping that it'll be ready maybe this year or next year. But they use the school used that building also for basketball tournament and things like that. And they also built a swimming pool. And so they have much better things than when we were in high school. So it was nice to visit and reminisce of all the times that we went to school. So it was, when I think of it now, so it was quite a walk from my home up to the school. And
when you try to do it now.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it. Yeah.
Is the plant still there, the sugarcane plant?
No, it was all torn down, and I think what they did was they tore it down and shipped it to the Philippines or some other country, so they can build their own mill. Yeah. But that place is very barren. Hardly any of those buildings that we were used to, because even they did have a hospital, but I don't think that's one of the reasons why people don't live there too long, because they don't have the facilities available like the hospital. So and then of course they don't have a big shopping center or whatever.
Yeah.
So they all go to Hilo, to the big town. And of course, when you go there, then it'll take an hour to get there. So a lot of times when people go there, they basically go there for shopping, to buy their, goods and whatnot that's available. So when I visit my sister, basically that's what, she does. And what she does for her livelihood is just attend these classes for the seniors. So she goes like two or three times a week. She goes attends classes. Other than that, there isn't much to do. Of course, she was playing golf, and until she got older, well, that's it. I'm getting to that point too myself. Well, I want to go back to playing golf again, but with all my problems that I'm having now, I figured, well, maybe I'll try again one more time before I, give it up completely. But
do people still grow a lot of their own food? Is there like a supermarket there now?
Well, actually, all they raise as far as food would be just the vegetables, and of course the fruits, that they have available. And because my sister said in her backyard she had this huge macadamia nut tree and avocados, and they had some oranges. And as far as vegetables, she didn't raise it, but her neighbor raised vegetables, so they shared their vegetables with them. Yeah. Yeah, it's where she lived in Hilo. It's not bad, but still, I would call it's still a country, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But their source of food is still limited, and it's not as plentiful as when you go out in the big city. Yeah, so when they do go to the city, then they usually stock up or buy whatever's on sale and those things. But I don't think I would want to live there. Yeah, I don't think I can survive. Yeah, I guess living out here in LA all these years, you feel kind of crammed down in a little town, and you can just do so much unless you yourself keep yourself busy with things to do. If you just sit around and waited for something to happen, forget it. It's really dead. Yeah. But those people who lived there from birth and lived there all their lives, they're used to that type of life. It's okay for them, but not.
Wasn't for you.
No, no way. Yeah. So I visit them. Try to visit. Well, we're all getting older, so I tell myself I have to visit them more often before anything happens. But I think I went last year. But anyway, I'll probably go this year. But I have to visit my daughter next month in Denver, so I'll visit her. But maybe later on this year, I might, maybe in the fall, I'll go to Hawaii and see my sister and brother. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that your parents were pretty strict. Do you think that's like culturally Japanese?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all the families are like that, but somehow, yeah. Of course, they didn't show their emotion, like beating you up or anything like that. But it depends on each family, because we had a neighbor that my mother was kind of close to, and they were kind of close, and she would tell me some things that that the parents were kind of strict, and you can hear them fighting or yelling at each other. So but living in a small camp like that, what we did was provided our own recreation. So we had a little own softball field, whatever area we were allowed to have, because in the back, I wouldn't say backyard. Anyway, in our yard we had all those clotheslines, to hang our clothing, and so we used part of it to hang our clothes, and another area where there's enough space we'd play softball. So that was fun. Yeah. So we had our own fun. We enjoyed that with all the other kids about the same age with us. So, yeah.
And this question kind of goes along with the last one. Do you think that your family that you raised in America is more culturally American than Japanese?
Well, since they're from Japan, and although they were lived in Hawaii, I guess there is some culture involved, because, and that's passed on to their children. Like I am, because especially in the food and the preparation of food, we still remember what to have, especially during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
We prepare the same type of food that we ate, generations ago. So we don't forget those things. And so that's part of the good part of it, being culturally different from the others. And of course we were brought up that way, so we don't know if any other way. So, we're used to to that part of being of growing up. So there are certain things that if you don't see it, you kind of miss it, but you think about it and say, yeah, we all say, well, those were the good old days, you know. But I guess there isn't any complaint that I have that, you know, I wouldn't change. I mean, I have no way of changing things, but you know, we had no choice but forced into growing up the way we were. Yeah. So it's and coming from a big family, I think helped too. Yeah. So it's nice to have a big family because now all these families nowadays will only have about 2 or 3 kids and that's it. And it seems kind of lonely if you don't have any more than that. Are you a one? Do you have a big family?
I have 3 sisters.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's 4 of us.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the third, so 2 older and 1 younger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's nice, especially when you get together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, that was my last question. So.
Oh, okay.